Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Pastor Siri, a Lutheran pastor and a spiritual seeker, and once a month I host a gathering called the Holy Experiment, and we have amazing conversations. And today I'm going to share with you our conversation on the overlapping themes and symbolism between winter solstice and Christmas. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. Take a listen. All right, so I did a little bit of research into the winter solstice this last week, and I listened to this beautiful video from a witch who talked about the ancient pagan roots. And as she went through all of the original, like European, Scandinavian kind of roots of the winter solstice, it was so everything we do. I was surprised. Nothing got left out. It just kind of got layered on. She had a good point that she said, when you have these times, whether it's the equinoxes or these solstices, they're pretty universally celebrated. So I'm pretty sure in certain indigenous cultures all over the world, they are going to mark these times in their own ways. So we are kind of talking a little bit about a European way of having done that because that's kind of what came over to us. So that Yule, the darkest time of the year, was also the birth of the sun, of light returning to the world. So just as you're coming to that part, and as I kind of mentioned before, I remember years ago researching, and maybe you already know this, but I felt like we were only gaining seconds of light every day at this time. And I thought, I swear at other times of the year we're gaining minutes. And sure enough, that's true.
Yep.
So the summer solstice holds light a long time, and the winter solstice holds darkness a long time. It's like that egg shape. And I thought that was really cool. The sun seems to stand still with the least amount of light. And so therefore, light is a huge symbolism. There will be bonfires that people would have, and it's all to encourage the sun to return to the earth. And if bonfires were not workable, like right now, we have a candle. Candles and a fire, even here, is going to be that sort of symbolism of encouraging the light to return. And I also learned that there'd be these Yule logs, these massive oak. So you already know all this good stuff, yeah.
Yes, studied it kind of.
Yeah, they would put this in when they had the giant hearths in their house, and this thing would last like 12 hours. And then when people started to have more stoves and then electricity, then they, just turn the Yule log into a dessert.
Yes.
Have you seen those cakes, the chocolate rolls and everything like that? So now you eat it,
Yeah.
instead of burning it. Evergreens were very significant because obviously they're still there, but they would use the holly to protect your house from lightning. That was interesting. Ivy was about fidelity and faithfulness, mistletoe about fertility, which is why you hang it up so that you kiss somebody. Yes.
Oh, just mistletoe means like poop on a stick.
Yeah.
That's what the word means. Because the way mistletoe forms is the seeds are eaten by a bird, then the bird poops it out onto the stick, and then that's how it grows.
Oh, wow.
So
There's probably some symbolism there.
yeah.
There would be feasting, of course, and giving of presents. And then I really like this wassail. you'd go into your orchards and you'd sing. That's what a wassail is. You'd wake up the spirits to get them ready to help you prepare for the next year's harvest. And so therefore you'd have your spiced cider drink. Now I knew wassailing was, in my mind, that's you got your drink and wassail, wassail all over the town. You go through the town and you sing. But that must have been later when things were more city centric. But that's the origin. Of course, chestnuts roasting on an open fire were a huge thing. And then cleansing your house to prepare for the winter solstice using rosemary and frankincense, which is cool. And of course, the singing of carols, and carols are just mean a sacred song. And so there would, of course, have been sacred songs before people ever heard about Jesus, because that's not the first time sacredness would have been around. So a lot of the carols, especially the European carols that have somehow made it through, yeah, I was thinking, can you think of a well-known Christmas carol that's naming a lot of these items already that essentially are pagan? Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
I can't remember all the words to Christmas tree. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because we sang it's German, so then I had no clue.
Yeah. There are even some old carols that were secular, and then they added a Christian verse or Christian meaning to them later. So we think of them as being Christian, but they were originally pagan.
And there are bonfires going on tonight.
Are there?
Yeah, my landlady is in several groups, but yeah, they have a bonfire. I think they have one every full moon too, but they're definitely having a bonfire. She and I talked today about Stonehenge.
Yes.
And then there's a place in Ireland that are down. You have to kind of really go down, and it's like a very small hole that the sun just hits, and it goes in, and it's against a rock that has a spiral carved into it.
Yeah.
And it hits like right in that spot, and then it lights up that spiral. Oh,
sweet.
Wow.
That would be so cool.
I wonder, I've always wondered if We Wish You a Merry Christmas was originally something else and then we usurped it, because I don't know what Now Bring Us Some Figgy Pudding is all about.
it's English.
Yeah, that's an English treat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they would go caroling house to house, and then
And people would give them hot chocolate, cider, or bug.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably figure.
Yeah.
So I was curious if that was true for the folks that are doing the solstice singing. If people that were singing would bring things to eat out into the forest or to the fire as a part of the solstice.
Well, they are having a potluck.
Okay.
He made potatoes au gratin and took them with her. So.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, gathering outside in a bonfire and singing and having spiced cider.
I mean, and it's a great night. It's not cold.
Right.
Compared to past years when it was like.
Yeah.
And they're having a ritual.
Yeah.
She said she's glad it's not too cold because it takes 45 minutes to get through their ritual.
Yeah.
So
with these same pieces, and again, we are really talking about Western world here. Christmas got layered into this very beautifully. So in the darkest time of the year, we are waiting for the sun with an O instead of a U to be born. And there's also this beautiful symbolism of, like I said, the darkness of the womb, that there you have the light being born. And of course, there's so many
Mm.
images of Jesus being light, enlightening, and I see the light, that sense of wisdom and truth being a light in the darkness. And I would believe this would be true of winter solstice and some pagan beliefs is there's nothing bad about darkness. It's just another it's just another thing that's part of nature that has its own deep, beautiful symbolism. And just like light, if you have light all the time, everything would get exhausted because you overspend yourself. So that moving back and forth between cycles, but then having these times of the year in which, lucky for us in the northern hemisphere, we actually get to experience this really unique time. And the symbolism of that darkness of rest and sleep and dreams and unconscious and creativity and mystery and the unknown, that which we do not know, which is very womb centered, that watery womb. So the sun is born to enlighten our hearts and minds. And then, of course, we have these evergreens and we have these wreath, and we light the blue candles for the 4 weeks to Advent, and we talk about the evergreen love of God. The candles represent the sacred. And then also the humble beginnings of the Word made flesh, that the home of light is made in everyday places and everyday people. And then, of course, there's the magi that come with gifts. Ironically, frankincense too. Gold, myrrh, and frankincense, deeply symbolic gifts. And so we've taken that story and we've folded in our significance, the Christian significance with some of these pagan things, and they dance together very beautifully. So I'm going to pause there and just any thoughts or reflections. How different would it be if Christmas was in the middle, Christmas was in the middle of the summer?
Which it is in the southern hemisphere.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Which is weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
It feels weird to us.
yeah.
feels weird to us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also, one Christmas spent, or not quite Christmas, but early December, spent time in Hawaii. That was just a completely different vibe there. Because they're not getting snow, maybe way up, but yeah.
It is darker there because they're still in the northern hemisphere, right?
Yeah.
It's still dark. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and go to Alaska. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
literally no light, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, the further north you get, there's no light.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I was going to say about the darkness is it's, as you said, Siri, there's this cycle and the opportunity to rest, which is what Chris, you're saying you didn't really get because there was no darkness, because your internal clock is used to, I'm going to rest when it's dark, and then if it's not dark, then it's all off.
Right.
In the same way that flowers and trees and things go dormant, it gives us an opportunity in order to rejuvenate, right?
Yes.
That darkness gives us the opportunity to do the same.
Yeah.
And how that can be very helpful for our overall health, including our spiritual, mental health, emotional health.
It's hard to let new things come into your life when you're already moving so quickly that you're sort of stretched thin. Things that might sound like a really fun, creative idea don't when I'm burned out. Having rest and having a time to let things lay fallow for a while can allow for not just the idea to come forward, but for you to receive the idea in a very exciting way. We talk a lot about, this is a new thing that I definitely feel strongly about, and I've heard a lot more people about it in just the last 5 years. This idea that Mary Mary was an active partner. She was approached by Gabriel and she could have said no, that there's something in the dialogue. It is not, you're doing this and you're gonna like it, right? There, it's not, that's not in there. And there tends to be some really creepy notions that, Mary was somehow
Just
passive, out of control. And it also to me is creepy because it pairs well with the image of a male god. So that's very creepy, right? But when you take that away, you take away the maleness of the god, make it instead this deep mystery that's beyond all form, that is approaching a potentially very spiritually adept young person with the opportunity to bring something into the world. It's a beautiful metaphor for all of us, that we are all in some ways Mary, where we are approached throughout our life, and asked to bring things into this world which can be powerful, beautiful, funny, enlightening, necessary, needed, practical, like all of that. And if we're too burned out and too busy, we not only can't hear the invitation, but we don't have the space. It's a funny idea to think that if Mary was modern, Gabriel was chasing her for 6 months before she was quiet enough for him to go, "Do not be afraid." that there's something about that story of it being in this sort of fallow time to receive and then bring that light, whatever that is. And that's where I want to go one step further with this imagery of Christmas, is that I don't think Christmas is just a story that happened 2,000 years ago that we know of and we go, yeah, that happened. Great. So what? I think Christmas is a bit as a metaphor where every single character in that story is some part of us that we can be. So we can be Mary, who is bringing things into the world. That which we're bringing into the world in some ways is our own deepest and truest self. So the light that enlightens all things can be symbolic of our true self, the sacred that lives in us. And that every year we are welcoming, creating room, preparing, cleansing ourselves for, opening, creating a space so that we can experience it a little bit more fully. And that's just sort of a lifelong circular invitation. And then you have, you even have the character of Joseph who's protecting what's going on. And there's something to that. There's times in which maybe we're not the ones doing the work, but we're protecting a really good thing happening. We're making sure a bad thing doesn't happen. That protective force is really beautiful. And then even the Magi, the honoring and the giving of gifts to see that which is different and more than you, where when in even our power and our courage, do we humbly bow to the good, the true, and the beautiful? And how do we do that? So for me, I feel about, if this story is our own spiritual journey, our souls are evergreen and everlasting. Even feasting is sort of such a beautiful metaphor for what will happen one day in the other realm, this sort of endless wedding banquet that we're all invited to, that we only get glimpses of and foretastes of now. There was one more piece in here that I liked, that the darkness can also represent our own unknowing, our own ignorance, our own forgetting, our own disconnection. And so Christmas can be Advent, and moving up to Christmas and the winter solstice can be a time of like, okay, I know there's something I don't know about myself and the world. I know I forget my true essence. So I'm going to find that time to slow down and let this light, the aha, as I come back to my true self. Pausing there What resonates or any other observations, connections?
Well, I like the comment or your suggestion about the metaphor, how we could be, there could be parts of us that could be Mary, parts of us that could be Joseph. Sometimes maybe we're creating, sometimes we're protecting. Because, yeah, I've never thought of it that way before.
Hmm.
And I suppose if you wanted to, if one wanted to expand that to maybe, like who else was in that stable?
Yes.
We had people who were bringing frankincense and myrrh, and we had animals, and right, and maybe, there are times when we're just to be, I mean, I hate to say it, but like a warm body to warm the space and to warm, right? You could be an ass,
Mhm.
you could be a cow, you could be a donkey. But the whole thing is that like you're just your very presence is needed. Like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to even create or you don't have to protect. Just your presence is really needed.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about like, the shepherds who maybe brought things, but I don't know. That we bring the gifts that we have. I don't know.
Yeah.
To, whatever's going on, we bring those gifts.
Yeah. My favorite verse of in the bleak midwinter is, what can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a
Mm,
shepherd, I'd bring a
mhm.
lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. What can I give him? Give my
Right.
heart. And to me, it's such a theme that I feel like either I've missed most of my life or it's just not talked about, which is this whole sense of our heart is the manger for the Christ light to be in us. We house and birth the Christ light into the world all the time, whatever that means. And I use Christ light, but you can say that is the light of the sacred, the true self. Really, we're all kind of in some ways talking about the same thing. Again, I think we export, we say, we must adore the baby out there. And we never say, but the whole point of like all these songs and all this hundreds of years is they're just subtly putting in there, listen to all the Christmas carols and get to the third verse. And so many of them say, prepare a place in my heart over and over and over again. And I think that that is a huge key to the metaphor, the symbolism.
We really appreciated that our heart is the manger and that the light has settled in us and that it's not only about adoring out there, but taking the time to recognize and adore even in ourselves as part of the light.
Mhm.
Well, you know how we've always talked about be Jesus to another,
Mhm.
and that imagery that you provided, Siri, about our hearts being the manger, really made those two pieces fit very well. About because I've got Jesus in my heart, it's going to be much easier for me to be Jesus to someone else who needs it and who may be ready to hear about it or is least interested.
So this morning we had a Christmas program and the perspective was from the angels in heaven preparing for everything, sending Gabriel and talking about what's going wrong. And I snuck in a line that said, God has an announcement to make. A baby's going to be born in Palestine. Another angel says, well, every baby's special. What's special about this one? Well, this one has the Christ light inside of him. Every baby has the light of God inside of him. Why is this one special? Well, this one knows it. And this one will help to awaken the light that is within all people.
Interesting.
Snuck that sucker in there. Because to me, I think that is so beautiful. If you if you go to a Christmas Eve service, a lot of times it'll start with one candle and that person will come around and light and you'll spread the light. And to me, the symbolism of that is you have your own candle. And in reality, you have your own little mini light, but sometimes it needs another person to get something going. And I think that there's a beautiful image, not just of Jesus, but of so many teachers, where when you shine your light, it literally spontaneously might combust someone else's candle in that moment. And they're like, whoa, I didn't give you something you didn't have, but maybe it sparked in that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like the ember was there.
Yeah.
Glowing ember is there. You helped bring it to the bonfire.
Yeah. The wick was there, everything was prepared. Or even just like look down. Oh, there's a lit candle in my hand. Where did that come from, right? There's just a level to our own unknowing about what is the deepest truth of who we are and what's going on in this world and universe. We always think we know, and there's always something deeper that. So I think there's some real universal themes. I love that we interwove the story with these beautiful pagan rites and symbolism. And yet I think we can just keep spinning it, we can keep going. What does the evergreen represent? It represents God's love. It represents our eternal souls. What is the light? The light within us. It's just, you can just keep spinning it and spinning it because there's such beautiful symbolism.
Don't forget, the little drummer boy was there to cause mischief and trouble. Mary's like, I just got this kid to sleep. Don't play that dumb drum.
Yeah. It's a funny idea, the drummer boy. I wonder where that song came from. It's a cute idea, but it also feels very militaristic. Like, oh yeah, of course there's drummer boys around, right?
Yeah.
They exist, and this one, all he can do is.
One of the things I've talked to some pastors about that very thing, and remembering that the youngest of the families were the shepherds, and then there were cows and pigs and whatever, not pigs probably, but there were animals, and then there's chaos and there's a baby crying. And we talked about the possibility that maybe the drummer boy came into the cacophony of sound to give it a beat, like to give it a heartbeat. And maybe the little drummer boy is the one that calmed everything down. Like just trying to look at it from a different perspective,
Yeah.
because it was already not a silent night.
I also think there's something just sweet to, I don't know what else to do. This is the one thing I can do. Like, we don't know how young this person was.
Right.
And the fact that the gift you give is the gift that's received, like any parent receiving the noodle decoration you made in preschool
Right.
for the tree, right?
Mm.
There's this really lovely set of music called The Animals Christmas, and it goes through all the animals that show up that have to do with the whole Christmas story. And one of my favorites is really tender, is called The Frog. And the frog hops up to see the baby, and all the other animals say, he doesn't want to hear you. Your voice is terrible. You croak. We don't want to hear you. He's not going to want to hear you. Don't do it. The frog hops up into the cradle and the baby giggles. You know, we know newborn babies don't giggle, but we're going for it. And then the frog sings about his life, the pollywogs and the lily pads, and the baby listens and enamors. And then the end of the song says, and this is why on every Easter morning you will hear frogs singing. That's like always makes me teary. It's the same idea. It's like it's this beautiful acceptance being born in humility rather than a palace to a humble family in a humble place, surrounded by humble things, and then having all these stories and songs about the people who come being from all over, and it's all accepted. It's all accepted. And so, whoever we are in the story, there's that message there that our gift, no matter how strange or humble or curious it is to other people, is good enough. It is acceptable and it is wanted.
We have to remember too that they were immigrants.
And the big part of that story, which is unique to Matthew, is when Joseph, the protector, takes his family and flees to Egypt, where they seek asylum. So that's the connection that people miss when you say the Holy Family were refugees. No, they just went to Bethlehem. They had family there. They were in the same country. Like, no, read the other story. The one all about Joseph, the dreams he has, and the killing of the babies, and that really scary story, which seems odd to have in a Christmas story, but then you read the news and you go, actually, that's very fitting to have such violence and terror in the middle of a beautiful story. And so, yeah, that was the seeking asylum refugee piece.
And people forget that the country was Palestine at
Yeah,
the time.
Yeah.
That was the land.
yeah. Well, as we bring this to a close, I guess in the next week, as we sort of hear these Christmas carols, we can have a little ear to some of the symbolism. And if you have a tradition of going on Christmas Eve listening, maybe just turning over and thinking, which is the imagery, the metaphor of this story that's resonating with me this year? Because next year could be a completely different piece. And that's what's so beautiful about all of these things. It's not just one thing. Light a candle, go home. It's the whole ritual, the 45-minute ritual, the bonfire, the feasting, the everything.
I'm really taking that image of the heart as the manger and the light. It's very interesting. It's definitely nothing I ever considered or thought of.
May your heart be the manger to house the Christ light. Thank you so much for joining us today.